All right, here we are, another episode of the CNC Q A Podcast. It's number 38, I think. So, welcome everybody. Let me bring in my crew tonight. We've got Mr. Ballard's back with us tonight.
Hey.
And of course, Mr. Corliss.
Good evening, everybody.
So, I hope everybody's doing well. I'm trying something new tonight. I'm not even sure it's working. I'm trying to broadcast not just only to YouTube, but also to Facebook and Instagram. And when I look on Facebook, it's showing I'm like, yeah, it's running over there, but nobody's joined us from there. So I guess it will pop up here if because right now it's showing everybody that's watching is on YouTube. And I couldn't even find it on Instagram. So this thing here says I'm live there, but who knows? maybe somebody will accidentally straggle in here after a while. So, all right. Well, Ryan, you want to start us off? What's new with you? And
we had a successful concert last week. So a week ago, we were watching Metallica. So, and that was pretty fun. Wife had a good time, so that was important. It was raining until Metallica came on, so we were there in ponchos. Got really frustrated today trying to figure out something, trying to optimize some toolpaths for Vectric, and then spent like an hour and a half, 2 hours on it, and then just realized what it was, and I feel like an idiot. So fun times.
Yeah, but
better to feel like one than be one.
Yeah.
I mean, the bottom line is you did figure it out. So,
right.
I've had, I might even mention them if I can remember to tell them, but I've had a couple of senior moments here. Doing, I won't say stupid stuff, but just doing something and then going, and then have to redo it. So,
yeah,
I'll talk about them in a little bit, but, okay, so you're all done rock and rolling with Metallica, except
no, not done at all.
No.
We leave tomorrow to go to Tampa to watch them this weekend. That's why. So there's no making it up as we go this weekend show because we leave tomorrow evening to go to Tampa to watch them on Friday and Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. And then we're done with concert going for a while, thankfully, because I am tired of rocking.
Okay. All right. Well, Mr. Corliss, what do you got going on? I know you got something to show.
I do. Everybody, the few people that watch this show and the Saturday night show will remember my marble maze.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That met its demise and ended up in the trash. Well, today I cut the whole thing again.
Nice. Okay.
And I cut this one out of plywood instead of MDF. And we'll see if that works better.
Okay.
So I got that going.
Is that the only piece you cut out of plywood, or did you cut it all out of plywood?
I cut it all out of plywood this time.
Okay.
And so I'm ready to go.
Nice.
And I did notice that when I cut it out of plywood, the plywood was just a tad thinner than what the MDF was.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit looser fit, but I think it'll be all right once it's all glued and all that.
Oh, yeah.
And the only other thing I got going, which is good news, is my wife is home from the hospital and she's on the mend.
Awesome.
That is good news.
Paul, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Does your birdhouse have any residents yet?
No. But it still looks nice.
There you go. That's what's
But
important.
there was some birds built a nest within 10 feet of it, but nobody has decided to move into the birdhouse yet.
Okay. We'll see how
But
that
that way
goes.
I don't have to clean it out either.
That's
Yeah,
very
it'll
true.
stay clean that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
But, I tell you what, I got laying in bed, and I have all around my house. I have floodlights that are on a little motion sensor thing. So if something walks by, the lights pop on. And where my bedroom is back in that other corner of the house, nobody can see in because of all the trees and stuff. So I always just leave the blinds open. And I happened to wake up probably one of the many times I had to get up and do my business. And I don't know, I just happened to roll over and I saw that light was on. Backyard was all lit up. So I grabbed my phone and go to my little app where I can look and see the different cameras. And now remember, my backyard is fenced, or at least kind of fenced. There's been a couple of trees fall and bend some of it over, but it's where Jack's not going to get out. But anyway, I get to looking on the camera app, and there was a deer out there, and I'm like, well, that's good, because you don't. They've built so much stuff around here. I don't even know how they have a place to live, but I thought, well, that's kind of cool. So I still had some deer corn that I kind of use to distract the squirrels when I'm trying to fill up the bird feeder. I try to put. It usually doesn't work because they'll go eat all the corn real quick and then come back to the bird feeder. But anyway, I still had some deer corn left over, so I got a little scoop of it and put it in the yard. And I never did see. Of course, he might have come, and I just didn't wake up because I didn't see him night before last. But then last night, I looked, and sure enough, he was out. That deer was camped out that pile of deer corn, eating away. So now that if I can get him coming, I'll set up my trail cam. Should get some good deer pictures.
Sweet.
But Jack, I got to get Jack trained, because he got to Raising Cane, won't go out there, and I thought he was doing that because there were squirrels out there. And I let him out. He goes hightailing it down the steps and towards the back of the woods. And sure enough, there was a deer out there that I didn't see. But it just goes to that low spot in the fence. And of course, even a high spot in the fence, they can clear it with ease. But yeah, I got to get Jack trained to not go crazy with a deer, because I wouldn't mind seeing them around. But anyway, let's talk about CNC stuff. I know, did y'all see that CNC Labs did their June production update yesterday? I think it was yesterday that came out. I tell you what, I am not I'm not a CNC Labs customer. Probably won't be, but I really like the way they do those production updates.
Oh yeah,
it's the head man, Andy Lee, talking, and he is just, he just tells it like it is. Might be good news, might be some not so good news, but he just lets you know what's going on. You get to see actual clips or pictures that he cuts in the update video, or whoever does his editing for him, where you see their pallets and stacks of actual parts and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know that they're a real company and really doing stuff. And I'm thinking, some of them other companies, I've never seen anything like that. They may outsource everything. Who knows? But
Yeah, I like how they put on there about like, they show their people like putting stuff together and all that.
Yeah, like I noticed they showed the guy working on some stuff, and it was really neat because they used like some aluminum extrusion, like the 2020 or something, probably a little heavier than that. But they'd made a thing where it suspends a little screwdriver, so there's no fatigue. It's almost like a spring thing you pull down, so you don't have to physically hold it. I thought that was pretty cool. Uh, but
Did you see?
and then you see a pallet of their whole X-axis assembly with the extrusion. It's already got the ball screws on it. All that kind of stuff. So I just really like the way they do things there, and
Mhm.
I think some of these other companies probably should take a look at how he does it and try to do the same thing, because I see a lot of complaints on the different Facebook groups from some other companies that are like, hey, they got my money and it's been 4 months. Where's my stuff? And you know, best they might get is an email or something.
I saw just I think today somebody on one of the other groups was posting that the company put a business card inside there and said, currently we don't have this and this part here. It'll be shipped to you when we get it. And the guy was like, it would have been nice to know without a business card, that $2,000 worth of my stuff isn't showing up yet. I was like,
Yeah, exactly,
wow.
exactly.
But yeah, like I really like the way that Andy does that, and like he tells you about how many they're expecting to send out in a month or whatever. And it sounds like the way that they do it is that they get everything packaged up, and then like Friday they send everything out or whatever. Like they're not continuously sending stuff out. They send stuff out at blocks at a time. But I think they were talking about like sending out like 150 alt mills this month or something like that. And
Yeah,
so it's pretty
yeah,
cool.
yeah. I think he said they were shipping about 50 a week,
Yeah.
and their goal was to get, I don't know, 250 a month or something like that. I can't remember exactly what he said, but yeah. I always enjoy, like I said, I don't really have any reason to watch that video because I'm not a customer of theirs. I'm not waiting on anything, uh, but I just enjoy watching and seeing how they're doing as a company, and I think they're going to continue to do well and improve with their lead times and stuff, where other people seem to be getting worse and worse on there. So
Yeah. They were talking too on that about their spindle that they've made. Like it's gone through some approvals and all that for, I guess, selling down here, because right now they can't sell
yeah,
that.
they had to get them recertified or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So
So I guess they're getting through that process. So it sounds like they're making good progress, because he actually mentions alt mill in there, because I guess some of the alt mill customers, I mean not alt mill, Onefinity customers will actually are buying one or want to buy their spindle from CNC Labs to use on their machines. Um, Interesting.
yeah, um, yeah, I really like watching those videos. Um, Speaking of videos, yours truly had one come out this morning.
Mm-hmm.
Probably not as exciting as, or I won't even say exciting, probably not as interesting as the one I had out last week. But I guess if you watched it, you learned that my little laser cut box that I had all that stuff mounted to, it bit the dust. Turns out, because I had the Masso mounted inside the box, and then I had the monitor and the keyboard and stuff on the outside lid. Well, of course, since I'm still in the process of wiring up stuff, I had to have that lid open a lot. Well, that quarter-inch plywood, or really it's only about 0.2, I guess. It was plenty good when you had the thing closed, but then once you opened that out, the weight of that monitor and keyboard kind of cantilevered off to the side. It eventually started busting it up. So either I didn't glue it up good enough, or it just wasn't meant to be. But anyway, if you watch the video, you saw that I now have just a scrap piece of plywood. It's about 1/2-inch plywood, and I just got the keyboard, monitor, the e-stop, and the USB thing so you can put the thumb drive in on this side of it. And on the opposite side, still kind of open, I just got the Masso mounted back there. But
when you did that box originally, you used Boxes PY. Is that what you did?
I did.
So one thing that I noticed, or one thing I did when designing the Ranger CNC's control box, is that round hinge part made it bigger because I figured that would help. So like I ended up having to like redo that portion of the box or whatever, the design of it. But I made that hinge section a whole lot bigger because but still, yeah, a lot of weight on those things really does kink it pretty good.
Yeah. And it was funny because I was out here and had it open and was trying to fiddle around with the thing, and all of a sudden I start hearing this stuff sound like something cracking, and I'm like, wait, what's that noise? And about that time I realized, oh, my monitor's fixing to fall off on the floor. So of course, so then I'm like, okay, great, now I got to spend the whole day redoing that. So I thought, well, I'm not messing around this time. I'm getting something solid. Also, if you watch that video and you saw when I'm showing the back of it, I also gave up on the little flimsy, this little flimsy part of the mount. You know, like this, and you can see this is real thin, but this I had mounted, and then you undo this thing and it slides off. But this just wasn't working either. I kept having to stop and tighten it every time it would start slipping down. So I finally just 3D printed something out of PETG, and you know how I do when I'm going want something strong, I do 100%, and so it's holding that part pretty good back there. So I feel like that'll work at least until I can get the G3 touch that I want so bad.
I'm surprised though that you kind of went a little lazy on it though. You did not paint the plywood machine tool gray.
No, well, the it's like I said, it's scrap plywood from another project, so that's what I had that enclosure out of.
Yeah.
So the side with the monitor is painted white. It's just not painted on the edges, and the back is still raw. But it was only because I don't know where the rest of that white paint is. It probably dried up and I threw it out, or maybe I didn't have any left.
It would look better if it was machine tool gray.
Well,
yes, it would. Yes, it would.
Well, maybe
paint it on both sides.
Maybe I'll do that.
I'm gonna poke it a little bit more. Poke him.
But
the other question I have for you on your machine is, yes, did you name it?
No, somebody asked me what I was going to name it, and I thought, no, I mean, it's got Sidewinder CNC on the frame because that's what that frame originally was. But I don't know. It'll still run good without a name, I think.
I know, but it's just nice if you name it something.
I have a question about your CNC also.
Okay. Well, that's what we're here for. This is a Q&A. Go right ahead.
Because it is not functioning completely yet. And it's beyond the mock-up stage, but it's not kind of. And there's a package sitting on it. Does that mean that it's a workspace or a CNC?
It's actually a work
assembly table.
It's actually a CNC. That right now, Paul, is is a Amazon packaging opening location. So,
Okay.
but yeah, and I'm going to show y'all what's in that box here in a little bit too. But it is kind of. Let's see if I can. Let's see here. I got some pictures over here. Let me drop that down for a second.
I think you should call it a 1 mil.
Where's the picture? Okay, let me get this. Okay, let me get my stuff going here. So many buttons to push. Okay, y'all might have seen this on Facebook.
Yep.
Now notice I'm using the spindle, but you notice there's no water-cooled hoses on there.
Yeah.
So this had to be a quick job. You can run those. They, it really takes quite a bit to get those hot. But if you can't tell what I'm doing, I had removed the, and if I show this, you can see I've got the plywood and then I've got the MDF on top of that. So I came out here the other day and took the MDF off, set it aside, and I had to take this plywood. I set it up on my sawhorses out in the driveway, and you can't really tell. Y'all can see my mouse, right?
Yep.
Back here, these side rails right here and here stick up one material thickness, and when I say material thickness, I'm talking about the 11 gauge steel material, higher than these because these tuck under there. So I had to cut a, what is it, rabbit or dado? Like rabbit, yeah. I guess it is, on the side. So I used my little, what did I use? My little Porter Cable 450, I think, to mill this back on the edge so that it about an 1/8 inch deep, and then whatever half of that width of that channel is, because it doesn't go, it goes right about to the middle of it. So then when I got that done, I took it back over there and set it in there. Of course, now I need to figure out a way to bolt it in. Well, on all of these steel channels here, and there's 5 of them in here, there are holes right in the center of those, and they are on center this way, 4 inches on center, and they're all tapped for 1/4 20. So what I'm doing here in this video is I'm putting a pocket about 300 thousandths deep. It's an inch round pocket that I'm doing. And then I come back with another pass to just put a hole, and I even did a pocket for that because I made it about 5/16. And if you notice, I'll play this again. You notice this thing is moving. Well, it don't look all that slow there, but right when it moves from one hole to the next, it's moving really slow. And the reason for that is when I set this thing up originally, I set the maximum feed rate for the X and the Y at 400 inches a minute. Well, when you're trying to do these round things like this, it just shook the heck out of that frame because I don't have anything under this frame yet. It's all still pretty light. I'm going to be making some drawers and stuff like that up under here, and store some material under there like I used to help weight this thing down. But anyway, it was really slinging that whole machine around. I thought it was going to dance across the floor. So I ended up slowing this way down. And another reason why I did is I also wanted these holes to be as dead nuts accurate as I could. And the way it turns out, of course, I shot this little 20-second video. It's only done like 3 of the holes. but there's like 4 rows. There's one back here, and this one here, and then I think there's 2 more up here. So there's a total of probably 20 holes in that thing. So once I got all that done, and I had to be careful not to go too deep and have that bit hit that metal channel underneath too. So once I got it done, I pulled it off and finished drilling the last few thousandths with the drill bit, and then put it back on there. And I'm proud to say that every single one of them holes lined up perfectly.
Sweet.
with that channel. So that is all fastened down now. Now when you look over here, the MDF is back on there, but I have not screwed it down. It's just sitting there, centered where I want it to be. And I am still thinking about how I want to do my spoil board. I'm not sure what I might do a few T-tracks and some dog holes. I don't know. Like I said, I just leave it sitting there till I get all this other stuff done. And of course, you can't, everybody knows you can't surface MDF until you have a dust chute.
Yeah, it's nasty.
It's nasty with a capital N, I'm telling you. So let me show you what's in that box.
Yeah.
And did we have any questions over there in the?
Well, Marcelo was asking if you used the CNC to open the packages.
No, I used my pocket knife. All right, let me show you what this is. I posted a thing on Facebook the other day. I know Ryan saw it, but I was asking about dust shoes. What people are using, what they, and people that have an 80 millimeter spindle, which is what I have. Well, I settled on this one, this brand, and I'll show it to you. I had it out of the box. I was telling the guys before we went live that I've been waiting on this all day, waiting for the Amazon guy to bring it. And he finally brought it about 6:15 or 6:30, something like that. And first thing I did was pull it out of here to check it. And unfortunately, it's not going to work as is. This is fine. But I'm going to have to do some modifications to the Z-axis assembly, which fortunately, since I have my little manual mill over here, I can do it. But it's going to be a kind of a pain in the butt because I've already got all that stuff on there and having to take it off. But anyway, this is how this one works. This big groove right here, and they supply you with the nylon brushes. So you stick it in there, and then you see the holes here. They give you some screws to screw it in. So it's not just held in by the friction fit of this. But the reason I like this one, now this will go, the spindle goes here, and then this will stick out the front. But the reason I like this one is, one, it's got a smaller area that's just around the spindle. So when your spindle's in here, your brushes are all right here instead of the long way like I used to do it. So, I mean, still when you get to an edge of a board, you're going to be hanging over and you'll lose a little bit, but not as bad as with the bigger one, or at least that's my thinking. But the thing I really like about this is your 4-inch dust hose is going to go right here, but to change tools, you can just pull this out, and now this part is going to stay on your spindle, but now you've only got the brushes coming around this part. The bigger section of brushes is on this other piece.
Gotcha.
So plenty of room. Like I see, it'll be setting when you're looking facing it. It'll be like this, and the brush is going around here. So you can get to it, change the tool easy and all that, and then just take this and pop it back in there. So it feels like pretty good quality. They say it's nylon or something, I think, but it's real smooth inside, so it should be work good for sucking stuff up there. So I really like this design. But let me show you what I'm gonna have to do.
John Thompson says he uses the same one on his Gatton.
Okay. Well, Don Ellings, I don't know if he's out there in chat, maybe not, but he was one that told me that he uses this one and he likes it so much, he's even got a spare on the shelf in case something happens to it. So the thing that I was worried about is, again, when you put your spindle in here, you see this distance back here on the back of it?
Yeah.
On my Z-axis assembly, it's real close before it hits that plate, that bottom plate on the thing. Let me pull up a picture here and I'll show you what I'm talking about. All right, let's get do this again. Okay, so here we are. So here, this is what I'm talking about right here, this distance right here. And you can see this plate sticks all the way out. I guess they got it where it's like flush from this plate. Now this is the plate I made that you can see this. There's the bearings right back there. So there's that mounting plate. And you can see that when it comes down so far, if you brought it all the way down, it would hit this plate because this plate sticks out. Well, here's the problem I got.
Okay.
If I raise the spindle high enough up that I can slip on this dust shoe, you can see that it fits fine. The 80 millimeter with the little sleeve it's got in there, it fits fine. But you can see right here,
yeah, it's hitting.
That's coming back down. It's going to hit.
What about putting in a spacer on instead of like milling something, which is I think where you're going with that? Why don't you put a spacer that spaces the spindle out like another 1/4 of an inch?
Well, because I don't want to. I already had to put 2 1/2-inch spacers behind the plate that all this stuff bolts to get the clearance for the ball screw on the x-axis. You
Gotcha.
Can't see it in these pictures, but anyway, if I take my calipers and I measure from the edge of this plate to where it bumps into this little bearing housing right here, it's about 0.47, so just under 1/2 inch. And if you look at this, it looks like that's probably, even with that camera angle, it's probably less than half of that. So I'm thinking if I took 1/4 of an inch, maybe 0.280 or something like that, but to do that, I'd have to take all this off, take the spindle back out, take this whole Z-axis off, which it's heavy. I was telling the guys, you can't hold it up with one hand and put a bolt in. I had to take boards and set it and just kept stacking it up until I got the holes to line up. So I'd have to do all that just to get it off to where I can pull this because this plate is mounted to this plate. Or no, that's my plate. It's mounted to the other plate that with screws through the back. So you can't even get to them here. So it's going to have to come off, and then I can put it on the mill and remove, a 1/4 inch, maybe even 300 thousandths, I don't know, to get clearance for this. So that's what I was worried about. And I don't really know why they have that thing sticking out that far. I guess they just wanted it to be so that when that plate come down, it would, couldn't go any farther than that. I don't know. But anyway, so that's what I'm going to have to do. I still like the dust shoe. I think it's going to be fine.
I think I'd just model one up and 3D print one.
Well, a lot of people kept saying, why don't you just 3D print one and all? And I'm like, well, I'm kind of thinking another way. I'm kind of thinking of designing one where I can machine the top plate out of aluminum.
Yeah.
That way it's good and solid. And then just have a 3D printed magnet type thing that pops off real easy. So, but I just don't want to take the time to design all that right now. I'd rather get it up and running and then at my leisure change it. But like I said, I still think this thing is going to work fine. It's just I got some work to do. So I guess I know what I'm going to be doing tomorrow.
I don't envy you on that one.
Yeah. Well, it's not. It'll probably take me longer to take that thing apart and get that plate off than it will to mill.
Oh yeah,
much off of it.
That's what I'm not envying you on, is taking it all apart.
But anyway, so that's what's in that box, and I think the thing's going to work pretty good. It's good to know that who was it said they used
John
one?
Thompson did.
John Thompson. So yeah, it's good to know some other people are using that same one, and it wasn't real expensive. It was like $40, I think. Probably one of the cheaper ones. But I watched a review of a guy that has an Avid, and we all know that Avids are great machines and a little on the pricey side for the hobbyists. But anyway, this guy was doing a review on this new, and this review was about a year old, I guess. And it was the new dust shoe that Avid had come up with. And of course, it's got a bunch of different parts because it's got an aluminum thing, kind of what I was talking about. Really nice machined aluminum. Avid don't do anything halfway when it comes to machined aluminum. And then it's got a bunch of 3D printed, I guess they're 3D printed, plastic things with the brushes, and you can, it ships with different lengths, brushes and stuff. So, but he said that whole thing was about $300. I'm like, whoo, that's some expensive stuff just to get rid of dust, But yeah, I think that thing was $39.99 or something like that. And if anybody wants to check it out, there's links down below for anything I show or have shown during this thing.
Is it that same distance all the way around it? Like, what if you turn it sideways? Could you do it that way, so it's not hanging off the front? Or is I'm assuming it's the same.
I hadn't even checked it that way because I don't. To be able to change the tools, I want to be able to pull that thing straight off the front. Right. If you turned it 90 degrees, now you're having to go into the side to change the tools. Let me look. I think it probably is the same. Yeah, it looks like it's well, I'm just looking. Oh no, I thought, man, this thing's cracked, but it's not cracked. It's where that seam is, where this goes together. But see, right now, This is the problem we're talking about.
Yeah.
Well, see, with this, it looks like it's thinner on the sides, but it's because this isn't on.
Yeah.
And then when you put that on, if I hold it like this, see, it looks like it's probably the same
Yeah. Yeah. It does.
here as it is here.
Hmm.
But I wouldn't want to run it to the side anyway. I want to run it on the front. That way, when you pull it off to change the tool, you're looking straight into it. So it's no big deal. It's not like I haven't had to redo some stuff before. I will share some more. I won't call them bloopers, but what are we going to call them?
I guess so. That dust shoe looks like with that little inner sleeve on it, so you can put a couple different size routers in that thing then, or spindles, whatever.
Yeah, I guess you could if you get or 3D printed your own thing. Your sleeve, you could do that because it wouldn't be hard to copy that sleeve.
Yeah.
But anyway, I did. I came out here yesterday and got my VFD all wired to my Masso. Pretty proud of that. It's working like a champ. But I will show you a couple of things I made some boo-boos on. Let's see if I have to share my screen again here. But
John says you can order different size sleeves. Okay. Yeah, so if you have a 3 1/4 or 3 1/2, I guess.
Okay, here's the view of my VFD. Yeah, this was just a minor little thing, but this was the second picture I took. The first picture I took looked almost exactly like this with all these connections made, but this cable was not running through that grommet. It was outside of the thing. So I got it all done, took a picture, and I was so proud of it. I thought, man, that looks good. And then I realized when I went to put the cover on, I'm like, oh, crap, I forgot to. So I had to take them all loose. And then, of course, I had my notes. Big props to Peter Pasuelo from his YouTube channel, CNC Nuts Masso Edition. He did, of course, he's got a lot of great videos about the Masso and how to do different things with it. But he has one, and it just so happens that he's using this exact same VFD and spindle. So I was able to follow everything exactly with no deviations, just exactly like he did it. But so anyway, there was the after I corrected my thing, which, like I said, wasn't a big deal. I just had to double check my notes because you want to make sure you get these things in the right place. And then here's that same cable, and I made kind of another boo-boo because you notice this is a 6-wired cable because I needed 6 wires for the connections I was going to make.
Yeah.
And this is the main controller box on the side that hangs off the side of the machine. So I did remember to bring this up through that little plastic cutout thing I made. So that was okay. But then I connected it all up and took a picture. And then I thought, oh, damn it, Dave. You were going to cut about a 12-inch piece of this wire off to use on the other end of this thing to do the thing. So again, I had to take these loose, pull it back out, cut about 12 inches off, and then restrip the wires, put new ferrules on there, and do it again so that I could get my other piece. Let's see here. I'm still, looks like I took a bunch I kept taking pictures because I cannot see when I'm squatting down like that I'm doing things right. So I'll get it all done, and then to make sure it's right, I'll get my phone, take a picture, and then I can zoom up the picture and see that I've got it right. So here is where it comes in the other way. So you can see these ferrules, and see here's that little 1 foot piece of cable. And I wanted it because it's got the 6 wires already in it, and they're the same colors. So makes it easy. So the spindle connections are right here. And then the green wire comes over here to this thing. And as I mentioned in my video, last week, or back when I was still using the little laser cut box, I had a 12 volt power supply right here and powering the Masso. Well, when, I don't know if it'll, no, you can't see it in those photos. But when I did the, I put a small 24 volt power supply, because that's what the homing switches, or the homing proximity sensors, I should say. I keep calling them switches, but that's what they needed. They needed something between 10 and 30 volts. So I used that small power supply, and it was one where you could get 5 volts, 12 volts, or 24. Well, I used the 24. And since I put that in the big box, I thought, well, Dave, there's no need to, you can't see the power supply. It's hanging over here. But these wires coming up here, that's pin 14, and then that's a ground right there. I'm just running that 24 volts through this breakout board. It goes through that DB25 cable, and then comes back out right here. And so I just took that, made another 24 volt distribution block here. So, and then I came off of that, and I got these wires coming over here, running to the Masso. The Masso, you can use a 12 or a 24 volt thing to power it. So I thought, well, if I'm doing that, I don't even need that 12 volt power supply. So I got rid of that, which I'm happy to have it run this way. But yeah, there's my little 3D printed bracket that you can't tell by this, but the other bracket had a swivel or I shouldn't say a swivel, a tilt where you could tilt it up. And I noticed that I kept it at a certain angle, but it kept, after a while, it would fatigue and start slipping down. I had to keep straightening it back up, tightening the heck out of it. So I thought, well, you know what? I'm going to make this bracket where it doesn't have the tilt, but I'll go ahead and put the 15 degrees in that bracket. So if you could see a side view of this bracket, the part that's bolted to the arm here is straight, but when it gets out here, that's 15 degrees tilted back. So, and that's working out.
And is that another one of the same monitor mounts that you got for the other one, for the Sidewinder?
Yes, it's exactly the same as the other one. This one I didn't have to get out the welder.
You didn't have to weld that one?
No, this one was pretty solid. So, yeah, I don't know what all other pictures I've got in here. There was this is a screenshot, well, not a screenshot, but a picture I took of my big TV when I was watching Peter's video, while he had this on this part of the video, and mine is set up exactly like this. Like I said, because he has the same exact thing. So it was really, really nice to, because a lot of times when you're trying to do something like that, you find somebody that's got a video on how to do it, but their thing is just a little bit different or a different brand, and then you got to try to figure it out. But he was using the exact same VFD and spindle that I was, and so it just made it super easy, except for the part where you forget to run it through the grommet.
All right. Well, so you've watched a lot of the Masso 3 Touch videos, and I have not. I don't really know much about the Masso 3 Touch. So where are their drivers?
Well, they're used with the closed loop system, so the drivers are
Are
on
on
the
the thing? Yeah.
steppers.
Okay. Yeah. So, all right. That's what I was thinking. I couldn't remember. Why the hell then are they not using a breakout board like that? So you only have the one wire going up into that thing instead of the octopus of wires going up in there.
I don't know, but I took. Let me look and see if
Your
I've
setup
got.
is so much cleaner, like coming off of that mount, than what all of those guys have for with the Masso 3 touches.
I
I
think
wonder
so.
if you couldn't take a cable up into the Masso 3 Touch and take the cable down to a board
Oh, I'm sure you could.
and then do all your breakout like underneath the CNC or something,
Yeah, well,
so that you didn't
yeah,
have that
exactly.
massive cables.
Exactly. Yeah, because I was thinking because I've seen a picture of the inside of the Masso 3 Touch. I don't remember where I've seen it, but there's a lot of room inside that case. Like there's nothing else in there. So like somebody should somebody with a Masso 3 Touch should be putting one of those little boxes in
Well,
there and run one cord out, and it would just clean up that whole situation so much
Yes,
more.
it would. Yes, it would.
I would like to take credit for being smart enough to think of this myself, but I wasn't. But the very first time I saw the guy do it, I'm like, holy shit, that's a game changer right there.
Yeah.
That's how old Dave's going to do it. And you've heard me mention Travis Mitchell.
Yeah.
He's the one that did the DIY 1,000-watt fiber laser. He gets old CNC mills and retrofits them with the Masso G truck. He's refit a lathe, made a CNC lathe with a Masso 3 Touch. He's done 2 mills. He's done a CNC that he had, and every single time, that's what he does. If 25 pins aren't enough, he'll buy 4 of them and put 2 over here where all the mess of wires is. Run a simple DB25 cable inside the mat. Like you said, there's plenty of room to mount those things in there.
Yeah.
And then you only have, when I come here, see, now all I've got is a little bit of a bird's nest. I could even clean this up a little bit. And I probably will tidy it up once I get all done. Right now, I'm trying not to put a lot of cable ties and stuff on stuff, because every time I do, I have to turn around and cut them back off.
Yep.
Because I got to move something. But yeah, this is really the ugliest thing, and that's just because my VGA cable is real long. It's coming from underneath on the other side, plugged into the monitor, and then it has to come over here, and there's just so much of it, I just tied it up, before I plugged it in there. But yeah, the Masso, well, it's not the fault of the Masso G Touch, or I'm saying it all wrong. The G3 Masso Touch, it's not their fault that
Right.
on those Onefinity machines it's a bird's nest of cables and stuff. That's a Onefinity thing,
Right.
Well, I mean, because they have it all going up into there.
Yeah, they've got.
And there's no reason to do that.
Screenshots, and let me just see if I can. All right, bear with me just a second, guys, and I will find a video and I'll screen share it here and show you one of the messes here.
And even on that Onefinity, it doesn't seem like it would be that difficult to rewire it with one of those.
Oh no, yeah,
No.
it's just,
No, it would be a lot better. It really would. All right, let me go right here, and I'm gonna go find. I know exactly the video I'm thinking of. Oh, it popped right up because I watch him all the time.
Those
All right.
wires that go up into the G3 Touch, they're not different gauges, are they?
Some of them are.
Because that would be the only thing that might
No,
affect your
they can all be
ability.
done. I'm running different gauges in those DB25 things.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, some of them are 18, some of them are 22, and some of them are, I don't know, probably 24, 26, the real thin ones. Let me find. Okay, here's that video. Let me get it queued up, the spot that I'm talking about, and then I'll share it here. Got to get through the ads here. Okay, yeah, right here's a good example.
Yeah.
And I'm not picking on Marty, my buddy Marty over at Mitchell's Woodwork LLC, but his is a prime example. And I've seen everybody else's look pretty much the same way. Let me share this screen. That's what you see, because they have everything coming out to that lower left-hand corner. And look at that mess.
Yeah, and all that could be into one little box, and then have two cables coming out and going up to the Masso.
Yeah, even if there was too many for one DB25 and you had to use two of them, you'd have two DB25 cables going up into that box. And then when you open up the box, you would have quite a few of the smaller, shorter wires, like mine was when I showed you the back of mine.
Oh, you know what?
Yeah, there's just no reason to have that. That's a crappy design. I'm just going to call it what it is. And this just happens to be the video where Marty's installing the extension there to get that thing out of the way so they quit running into it. And that's a crappy design, the original design. This works great, the extension. But the original design, to have all that right there close where it gets knocked into all the time.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Just
or you can hang on, grab it, and you've gotten a whole lot more opportunity for something to snag on. One of those 8 wires coming out of that thing.
Yep. And like I said, there was another guy. It wasn't Marty. It was somebody else. And I was watching it on the TV, and as soon as I saw all that mess of wires, I go, I'm going to take another picture of that and show that on the show or something. But they all look pretty much like that. You know, it's just got big old bird's nest of wires, and I don't know why they why they couldn't do a little better than that.
I think I've found the video I was talking about that shows the inside here. Let's see here. Maybe. Nope. No, it was a different one. All right, I'll keep looking for it. But there was one that I think Onefinity actually put out the video of it, showing the insides of that thing, because you have to change something with their rotary.
Well, if you want to see the inside of it, you can go to any of those Travis Mitchell retrofit CNC mill videos.
Yeah.
You know, he's got, because every time he always uses that G3 Masso Touch, and he does it the same way every time. He uses down in the control area where his drivers and power supplies and all. That's where you want the mess of wires. Down there.
If
there's no reason to have that big wad of stuff coming all the way up, hanging off the end of your machine for the Masso.
Do you want to pull it up? I can tell you what video it is.
Yeah, you talking about Travis?
No. Well, this is one from Onefinity.
Okay.
So it's Onefinity CNC. Search that, and then it's their Onefinity 4th axis rotary, the Revolution for Elite Series is the name of the video.
Okay. Welcome to the Revolution. Is that one?
No, it's not Welcome to the Revolution. It should be the one that's right before or after that one in their timeline.
Okay, that was laser.
It just says Onefinity, fourth axis rotary, the Revolution.
I'm scrolling, but I'm not.
It was from 2 months ago. So, are you on their? Are you on their page?
I'm on their YouTube channel.
All right, hit videos.
Okay, yeah, 2 months ago.
1, 2, 3, 4. It's the fifth one down.
Okay, I got you. Gotta wait for the ad to play.
But the very beginning of it shows you how like they're unplugging everything from the touch, and then opening it up.
Okay, bingo. There we go. Right here.
Yep.
Yeah. Now see how there's a lot of wires there, but they're tied together and labeled and all that. That doesn't look bad.
Yeah, no, right there it's fine. But there's still
if
a
you
lot
look,
of movement there.
all of those wires are coming down here.
Yep.
Where they all could be tied into a breakout board right here, like Travis Mitchell does. And it just makes it a much neater install, I think, that way. Because now you're only talking about a little short wire from the breakout board to the location on the Masso, wherever it's going.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just, like I said, I watch a lot of videos, and because I like to watch the ones about with the G3 Masso Touch. A lot of them happen to be people with Onefinities, and I just shake my head every time I see that big wad of cables and stuff, and I'm like, man, what are these people doing? And I'm not the neatest guy in the world. Everybody should know that. I'm pretty much a slob. But I've had some comments about the wiring I've done here. In fact, I got one today when I was showing the thing. He said, "Yeah, your wiring looks nice." And it's only because I'm trying to do a better job because I'm tired of being a big slob. Back when I was using my machine for production to run Gatton CNC kits, I just needed it to run. I didn't care what it looked like.
Yep.
And I had wires string every which way and all, but it didn't matter because if something went wrong, I knew what all those wires were. But it still wasn't as bad as what
well, I mean, I can imagine that they do that just because having it. I'm sure it doesn't come pre-wired from Onefinity. I'm sure the owner of it has to wire them up. So I'm guessing it's to help it's taking out a step of somebody can screw something up and plug something in wrong more than once. But yeah,
well, if let's say they ran all their cables to another box that mounted somewhere else under the machine or whatever, and then they had breakout boards there. They would have those cables labeled going to the breakout boards.
You would think so.
And then they could supply the short cables that you need for the breakout board here in this thing and have those cables. I don't see that it would be any harder than.
I don't think so either. But that might be their reasoning for it or something. I don't know.
But like I said,
I think if I owned one, I would make that switch.
The mess with these is all Onefinity's doing, the way I see it, because it doesn't have anything to do with the Masso screen. They're just,
it's just how it's wired, how they have it wired up.
The only thing they're doing for that is they put the Onefinity splash screen so that when they boot it up, it says Onefinity on it, but it's not a Onefinity product. I'm gonna go find one other thing while we're talking about this.
Well, it looks like Jerry's back. Everybody stop talking about him.
Yep.
All right, gotta wait for the ad to clear.
Yeah. Jerry says neat wiring's like a clean truck, makes it go faster.
Okay, let me pause this and this is the Travis Mitchell. And let me.
Yeah.
This is an old CNC mill that he picked up, and he's going to retrofit this one with the Masso G3 Touch, like he does everything. And see, it actually ran on Mach 4. That's what he said. He had to get an old computer, Windows computer, to get it to run, just so he could test it out before he started tearing into it to make sure, he wanted to make sure everything ran.
Yeah.
But if I show, if I go through, okay, there he's mounting the G3 Touch on the outside of the enclosure. He designs a lot of his own stuff too. Okay, look.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Yep,
right
there
there.
it is.
He ran out. He knew he was going to have more connections because he has like an automatic tool changer, a tool setter. He has all kinds of stuff on this milling machine. So he ran out of, or knew he was going to run out of pins on one. So he just puts two of them in there. But see, still look how much neater that is as to what we were looking at before.
And then you've only got the two cords coming out of the thing.
Yeah. And like I said, even these small wires that you run from here to wherever they're going up here, you can still, once you get them all connected with, put the ferrules on the thing and do that, you can get a little cable tie and still neaten those up a little bit, which I have not done yet on mine, but I've still got a few more things to add on mine, but I think I'm going to have enough pins with the 125. But if I don't, I'll get two more. Just like they were like $15, I think, for two of those breakout boards.
Okay.
So,
but
yeah, this guy, like I said, and I'm sure he's probably not. In fact, I have seen one other guy that did it, but even though he'd used that, he still had a mess of wires, and I'm like, dude, what the heck, But this guy, when I first saw him do that, the first video I watched where he did that, it just set the light bulb off, and I'm like, holy cow, that is so slick, so easy. I didn't even have to go buy the DB25 cable because I have a million of those laying around from the old Mach 3 days, using the UCC or UC100 thing and all that. And that's just such a nicer, cleaner install than what you see on those others. But it's not my company, so I just don't get it when I see that big mess of stuff on there.
Yeah, I think if more people saw that was an option, they would clean up their wiring. You know what I mean? Like if I had a Onefinity Elite, I would definitely be doing that because it just.
Oh, I think so. Yeah,
it looks easier. You don't have as much weight on the controller itself. I mean, you're yanking on it.
I mean, it's so clean, and you can see because they mount the Masso high up like this.
Yeah, it's like they intended for it.
There's plenty of room right there.
Yeah,
plenty of room.
Oh yeah, that's good. I like that.
But yeah, that if you haven't gone and watched any that's his channel name, Travis Mitchell, just his name. But that guy has done these retrofits on about half a dozen different machines, and all of them are just really, really nice looking machines when he gets done with them. He did one, Ryan, I know you'd probably like it. He got an old, I don't know what you'd call it. It's like the race car chair, where you do simulations.
Yeah.
He got one of those, and the thing wasn't working at all. And man, he had it where it would vibrate and turn.
Oh wow!
Yeah, you have to go check it out. He really did a great job on that thing. And I'd seen it when I watch these other videos. I see it in the background sometimes. I'm like, I bet that's a cool video. And I finally watched it one day, and I'm like, yeah, that's pretty jam up the way he did that.
Sweet. I was actually seeing somebody the other day, yesterday, maybe the day before. They were doing one of those racing simulators, except for they took a front end of a Volvo, some sporty Volvo, and so they had the dashboard. I mean, it looked like you were sitting in the car. Like they had the seat and everything, and the shifter was hooked up. All the pedals were hooked up to the racing simulator, so it was like you were actually sitting in the car. It was pretty wild looking. I was like, man, and people were like, "Why are you doing that with the Volvo?" I was like, man, it's crazy. But yeah, I mean, I guess he like sell the mills once he's done with them. Do you know?
Well, one of the retrofits I watched, I think it was the first one I watched of his. He got it all, I mean, tricked out, automatic tool changer, tool setter, you name it, it had the G3 touch. And then when he got this one, the one I just showed in this video, he sold that one. I guess, because everybody's got a limited shop space. So
Yeah,
eventually when you start filling it up, you're like, okay, I want something new to play with, but I got to get rid of something to make room.
yeah.
And I know all about that.
Yeah,
So,
oh yeah.
uh,
Oh yeah. I bet you that forklift that he rents has brakes too.
Yeah.
it seemed to, yeah.
And it probably
He did-
goes forward.
Probably does.
Yeah.
Hey, I ordered a battery. Yep.
It's a big
Yep.
battery, right?
No, well, I ordered a lithium battery that's
Oh.
it just to make the damn thing move. Hopefully it'll work. I don't know if it's going to work or
Now,
not.
is that a 12 or a 24 volt?
That one's a 24-volt one.
Okay.
So yeah, so I got to make a rack that'll hang off the back of the thing so that I can try driving it. I don't know if it'll work, but if nothing else, it'll help me sell it because it'll actually
Yeah.
function.
Sell it.
Yeah.
Sell it.
I don't think it's going to work well on my driveway. So even when it's moving, which is really the reason why I haven't.
You
tested
just
it.
put in a better driveway.
Well, yeah, but that's very expensive. My driveway is like 400 feet long, so to get anybody to come out and pave it would be really expensive.
Yeah.
But being mine's a 3-wheeled one. It doesn't. When I got it off of the trailer initially, it was stuck in my driveway. Like
You need a 4-wheel with the big wheels.
Yeah, I think so. But at that point, I'm not going to buy another one. So
Yeah.
if we can get it to move enough to get it down to my shop and then put the scoreboard up on the wall, I'll consider it a success and I can sell it at that point.
All right, Jerry says he's going to be on Meet the Maker tomorrow afternoon.
Oh, there you go.
Good deal.
On YouTube and Twitch. I'll have to check that out, Jerry. Then he
Good
also
deal.
had
Yeah,
another interesting
Polymaker
topic.
makes some wonderful filament.
Jerry said he used to want a 150, but changed to wanting an alt mill. Happy for now with his Jinmitsu machines. Yeah, I think could be just me, but I think the honeymoon's over for the Infinity. Like I said,
they have changed their shipping dates immensely. That now, unless you want one of the elites, you can get them like in weeks or days instead of months.
Yeah.
Okay, but not for the one that's the hot seller, though, right?
No, not for the hot seller, but for the basic machine, you can get like what I've got. You can get it a lot quicker.
I wonder what holds it up then. Like, I mean, because really, to change yours, Paul, to an elite, you've got the Masso, and you've got the stepper motors, but that's really it, right?
And the Z axis. They changed the Z axis also.
Gotcha.
They changed $1,800 worth of stuff.
well, 1,500 of it's that Masso.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, which is why mine is not a Masso.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you on that. I hear you.
All right, Wim Design saying, Dave, are you planning to install an ATC on the new CNC you built? Well, let me put it this way. The only way I would install the fancy one, the PWN one, that's, what do we say it is, about $3,700 or whatever. The only way I would install one of those is if they sent me one, and I doubt if they even know who I am. So not much chance of that happening. But as I mentioned a while ago when I was showing the wiring for the VFD to the Masso, I needed 6 wires because you need 6 if you're going to wire in reverse or counterclockwise, which is what you need if you're going to use that rapid ATC. So I've got one of those kind of thinking about, like to have one of those, just cause don't need it, but you know, they're so, I mean, when you think about an automatic tool changer for, what is it, $400 or $500, I think, for the six slot with the cover and everything. I mean, it's like you almost have to get one at that price.
Yeah.
But yeah, I went ahead and I didn't want to have to come back later and rewire it. And, you know, I'm right here. Let me just go ahead and add all the wires. So, and I've already checked it out. Counterclockwise and clockwise work with the thing. And like I said, it's all working great, except I haven't connected my water hoses yet. I dug out my old water hoses because I had them around back in my other shop. And I need to run some stuff through them and clean them out, blow them out with an air compressor, whatever. And also, I'm going to take an informal poll here with everybody that's watching. We got about 20 folks watching. This is the water pump. You know, when you buy an OhmTech laser or get an OhmTech laser like I did, I didn't buy it, they sent it to me. But you know, they send you a plastic tub or basically a bucket. Mine was a kind of a rectangle shaped plastic tub.
The blue one.
I'm sure you got one too, Ryan.
Oh, yeah.
But part of the stock equipment is you get that plastic tub, and they send you something like this, which is a submersible water pump. This one runs off 110. So my poll is going to be, which do you think I should do? Should I just clean out a 5-gallon bucket and go with this since I already have it? Or should I buy a CW3000, which is, they always call it a chiller. I don't like that they call it a chiller because it doesn't refrigerate or chill anything. It's more of a radiator type, whatever the fancy word for that is. But I've looked on Amazon, and in fact,
OhmTech sells one, right? I know Monport does. If OhmTech doesn't, then you can use our Ballard Designs 10 and get 10% off.
Well, if you go to Amazon right here, let me share this page with you.
See, I was trying, Paul. I was trying.
Yeah.
I don't go to Amazon right here. See, here's the CW3000, which, like I said, it's not, they say chiller, but it doesn't really chill anything. It just has a fan blowing across it.
Room temperature.
But that's only $170.
Yeah.
Actually, here's one for $163. But when you get into the real chillers, the 5202 or the 5200, they're $300, $400, $500.
Yeah.
And I have a 5202, which actually has 2 inlets and outlets. It's actually the model that you can use one chiller for 2 lasers. And I had actually started thinking like, well, heck, I'll just use them other inlet and outlet and run it through this spindle. But then when I went and got my hoses and I got to thinking about it, I'm like, I don't know what the inside jacket of that spindle looks like. And I don't want to be contaminating the same kind of water that's going to be running through that laser tube. I think I'd be smarter to just keep that one just my laser only, and either use the pump and a bucket or get that. So what do they all say?
I use a pond pump and automotive antifreeze.
Okay. Well,
and I don't use a bucket. What I use is like one of those Sterate plastic box bins that you can buy, the smaller ones. And I just put like a gallon and a half of antifreeze in there. And that's what I run.
Yeah, Kenneth makes a good point. See, he's trying to shame me into using a bucket and a pump because he says you already have the pump.
Yeah,
right.
I would do that.
And when the pump goes, you buy a chiller,
or use the pump for now and then figure out what you want to do. You could even do something really cool because you've got the nice fancy mill. You could do a radiator system that could mount the CNC.
Right.
Well, maybe I need to look at those. I know you mentioned to me the other day about what Gary had, and I'm like, but all that has to, or at least the way he had it, it was all mounted on the back of his thing, and I just don't want to have to mount a bunch of junk.
Don't worry about that. That CNC is strong enough to hold that. That's not going to affect any performance. And the one that Jerry had didn't look like it was very big. So
it wasn't very big.
Yeah. So I mean, it wasn't a whole big.
Well, I need to at least take a look at those. But my thinking is, I've done the bucket thing before, not with this pump, but with the pump that came with that kit, the spindle and VFD kit. And it is a pain in the butt because no matter how well you try to keep it covered, you get gunk in there and it gets pretty nasty, and then you got to change it out and all that. And I'm thinking with that other thing, yeah, it's $170, but it's a closed thing.
Mm-hmm.
I have not done anything to the laser one. I mean, nothing since the first time I filled it up with distilled water. It hasn't lost any water. It's all right there. So I don't know.
I got a question for you. Then we got a comment too.
A lot of people's telling me use the bucket.
Like, yeah, we're all a bunch of.
See, I figured since it was my money, people would just say, "Hey, get the big one, get the CW3000." All right, Steve says, "Where's he at here?"
Well,
let me bring him back up here.
I got him. Not too expensive in a sealed system, Evan.
Oh man, I'm telling you, man, I would try this just because it would be interesting to see how well it worked. But that's an $18 radiator for a PC.
That's the radiator and the fan and everything?
Yeah.
Wow.
And so it's an 80 millimeter fan too. And you can get them bigger. And
so that'd make a sealed system.
Yeah. And monitor dude, for $20, I'd almost buy it and send it to you. I might do that anyway.
All right. I'm going to take a look at those things you're talking about because that's the other option I hadn't really looked at.
That'd be pretty cool.
But I just keep thinking, it's kind of like the buy once, cry once thing. Spend $170, get it, and forget about it because it would always work. And I could plug it in so that into a power strip so that when I turn everything else on, that comes on too. I don't know.
But
I'll give it some
but it's
thought, y'all. I don't need to buy it right away anyway.
Yeah, so used upon the bucket for a little while.
Well, first thing I got to try to clean those lines out because they look kind of grungy. But
Yeah. Oh,
Art,
Kenneth has the other thought I had was if you could buy the CW 3000, right? Gut it, mount that to the machine. Because really, it's not. There's really not much in those things. If mine wasn't behind that wall right now, I'd grab it because I've taken it apart to be able to get the wiring out of mine. Because I ran it to that little guy right there on the wall.
yeah.
That's where my temperature gauge is for my water pump, and alarms and all that. So I've been inside that thing. There's really nothing in there. It's mostly the 3-gallon pump thing.
Yeah.
And I don't think that those spindles are gonna. I mean, unless you're doing 12-hour, 15-hour, 24-hour long carves, I don't think that they'd get hot enough.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
You know, I showed
Mine
you the
never.
video earlier of me doing the holes for the plywood base.
Uh-huh.
And that program, because it was only going to take about 7 minutes. And I thought, well, that ain't going to hurt that thing running without water because I know they'll run that long. But then when it started shaking the machine and everything, I'm like, whoa, let me slow this thing way down. And then it took probably about 20 minutes. And even after that, when I put my hand on that thing, it wasn't even warm. So you could run them a little while without it. But I don't want to do that. I got to have some kind of thing. I don't know. I'll look at those little radiator things. I have not even looked at those.
No, Steve. Nobody can trust my judgment.
Yeah, that's a good point, Steve.
Let it be known, though, it's because my wife is a fan. I'm really not a fan of anything other than Metallica's like radio stuff. Yeah. I don't go that deep. But
all right, let's catch this question that was up here a while ago. It says, Dave, the CNC I'm building, I bought NEMA 23. Do you suggest to upgrade to NEMA 34, or can the NEMA 23 work for most jobs? The NEMA 23s will do fine.
Yeah.
Unless you bought the real little low torque ones, but as long as you bought a decent NEMA 23, they work fine. I'm using a NEMA 23 on my Z-axis on this one. The others, and the only reason I use the NEMA 34s on the X and then the 2 on the Y-axis on this machine is because I had purchased those 3 NEMA 34s as well as the drivers probably about 5 or 6 years ago, and I already had them sitting around. It's one of those things where it's a box with a lid folded over and it was up under something. When you pull it out, it's like, oh, Christmas. Look at this. I got some stuff. So that's why I did the adaptations that I had to do to get those to work with this. But if I'd have had to buy them, I wouldn't have, because I've got a whole table full over there of NEMA 23s. I bet if I went and dug up every NEMA 23 motor I have, I bet you I got 2 dozen of them or more.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just used the NEMA 34s since I had them and the drivers. So you'll be fine with NEMA 23s. Use the Stepper Online DM 542Ts with your NEMA 23s. I mean, you don't have to. You could get the cheap ones off of Amazon, but I'm just telling you, that's a good
the TB 6600 one or whatever they are. Don't use those. You get the 542s, either regular or the Ts.
Yeah, and there's a link if you look in the description of this live stream. Click the video description thing. Somewhere in that big long stuff, I've got a link to the Stepper Online. In fact, I think I've got a link to the 4-axis kit that I always used to recommend that came with 4 NEMA 23s and the DM 542 drivers. But But yeah, you'll be fine using those. Unless you're building a way bigger machine than I think you might be. I don't know. But no, you'll be fine. NEMA 23. You know, I mean, the alt mill and the 150 and all them, they're using the closed loop steppers. But, you know, they're NEMA 23s.
Yeah, the on my Gatton CNC, I'm running the 420 ounce NEMA 23s, and on the Ranger CNC, I'm using 270 ounce NEMA 23s, and the going to the 270 ounce ones fine. It's not a problem for this machine running around. So, yeah, stay with NEMA 23. It's cheaper.
All right. Well,
we got some more here. We got Sleepy Hollow. I'm adding a 3-fan computer radiator to my spindle. See, pump is part of the computer cooler. Mm-hmm. There you go. Then Steve over there at Ventari. Steve, I want you to change your channel name to Ventari Steve. Right? That's what it should be. So, anyway,
where did the Ventari come from?
It's a made up word that he used.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it doesn't mean anything.
Okay.
Yeah, CW 300 or 3000 is not too expensive in a sealed system. After having contamination in a laser tube from a bucket setup, I'll always go with the sealed system. I hear you with that. But for as far as in a bucket system for the CNC, though, the contamination really isn't going to be that big of a deal. If there's, because you can run antifreeze in it with a CNC.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter how. Well, I won't say how grungy, but it probably does.
Yeah.
You know, a little dirt's not going to hurt a CNC spindle. It's just going through that jacket and getting cool. Yeah.
But I'm with you. I would not mix the CNC and the laser together.
Yeah, the more I thought about it after I got because there's some stuff growing in one of them tubes, and I'm like, ooh. Even though it's a separate inlet and outlet, it's still recycling that same water. So they're sharing that same water. So I thought, I better nix that idea. But then when I looked at the 3000, and as a matter of fact, for $170.95, I can have it here Friday. Just saying.
I don't know.
The other thing I thought about too, though, and I don't know if nobody's mentioned it, I know how loud my 5202 is when I'm running my laser. And I'm sure that thing's probably not much quieter. I mean, it doesn't have a compressor or
it just has the fan.
Yeah. So it probably doesn't have a compressor because it's not actually chilling stuff. So it might be a little quieter, but I bet it ain't as quiet as that pump in a bucket.
No.
So, in fact, I always used to have to go check because I go, man, did I remember to turn that thing on?
But like you always say, Dave, it all makes noise once the bit hits the wood.
That's true. That's true. I'm just thinking about, practically no maintenance. Yeah, you spend $170, but probably almost no maintenance compared to having to keep an eye on the butt. First of all, you got to make sure the thing's not clogged and still pumping. I used to have, and I still have it on there, but it's one of those little things you put in line. It's got the little fan, the flow meter thing. Mine used to never work. It would get stopped, and I'd have to go around there and check, see if the pump is working. And I go, yeah, it's still working. Then I'd come back and flick that little plastic housing, and the thing would spin a little bit, and then it would quit. And I'm like, with something like this, you wouldn't have to worry about that.
Yeah. Yeah, John's been using a pump in a bucket for about 4 years with his Gatton. Yeah.
Well, I'm not saying that don't work. I know people that run lasers that way.
Well, if you can get it
But-
by Friday, you might as well just order it. I don't know what you're waiting for.
It's only money, right? You
Yeah, it's only money.
Right.
That's what you keep telling me
Yep.
when I spend money on dumb shit.
Yeah, you only go around once.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. So
Hey, you got no wife right now to tell you to go sleep on the couch for spending money on dumb stuff.
yeah, there won't be one of them coming around.
Yeah, see?
I'm
See?
sure Jack don't give a flip whether I buy that or not.
He just wants kibble in his bucket and his squirrely.
Yeah,
dude.
as long as he gets a what are those treats I gave him? The bacon strips or whatever.
Yeah.
As long as he gets a supply of those, he don't care. I don't know. There's only 9 left in stock, so I'm gonna have to order soon.
Ooh, man. Oh.
Arrives before Father's Day. Be here Friday.
What pressure? I'll
Friday,
tell you.
June 6th. Now I don't know why the Home Tech ones they're $200 or more,
Well, because they're proud of theirs.
and they're just painted blue instead of white. But I don't know. We'll see.
Man,
I am anxious to get it running, but now I've got a whole nother day probably of taking that thing off and milling it down so that my dust shoe will work, because I am not going to try to run that thing.
Somebody suggested a Dremel tool, but I can't remember who it was.
Oh yeah.
To notch that
off of there.
Yeah.
that plate.
Yeah, just
I
Dremel it
put
half-
too much work into that thing now to try to Mickey Mouse it with a Dremel.
That'd be awesome.
In fact, like I said, one of the times when I ran the cable from the VFD and got it over here in the control box, and I got it all connected, and it's hard because I'm having to bend over and do all this stuff, and I got it right. And then when I realized that I didn't cut a foot off, I'm like, nah, I'll just use some other wire. And then I thought, no, the whole reason you wanted to buy that cable of wires because it had 6 wires, 6 different colors, easy to keep stuff straight. So I'm like, all right, let me get back down there on the ground and take it back loose and redo it. So, like I said, I'm trying to do this. I won't say professional, but at least a little neater than what I've typically done in the past, because this is probably going to be the last CNC I build.
This week.
Maybe.
All right. I will tell you one thing that I don't like about the new CNC.
I know you don't like them squared off.
I don't like the squared off corners. Round them. To
make them really look good, I'd have to take that all back apart and mill it.
Well, you are waiting until Friday until your cooler gets in there. So I mean,
right.
See,
when you run into that thing, you're going to say, "Oh golly gee, I wish I'd have rounded those off."
Just like Ryan told me.
It's not really sharp. It's all filed. It's got a little, the burr's been knocked off and stuff. Probably what I would do, instead of taking that apart and putting a big radius on there to make that look good,
take a Dremel to it.
No, not take a. I would go ahead and run it as it is, buy some more aluminum and cut new plates. Because now I know where all the holes and stuff go, because I've made drawings of all that stuff. But I think I've already thrown them on my scrap pile out there to go around to the fire pit. But the original ones were going to be 8 inches coming up so far, and then about halfway up they angled over so that they had more of a shape to them. And then I decided, I'll just leave them square. It's ain't nothing wrong with that.
Sleepy Hollow Woodwork says those corners are a good place to mount a radiator.
Hey,
well,
I mean, I could be convinced.
Yeah, I could mount something because there's plenty of space on that side. But then you have to have the hoses going back and forth. If you mount the radiator part on the Z, that part that moves, it's always right there. You don't need hoses getting tangled up. But I don't know. We'll see. I got time to think about it. Like I said, I'm I'm really taking my time on this and not trying to just do something because a lot of times I'll do stuff to get it done so I can use it, but then I'll see something else that somebody does and I go, oh man, I wish I'd done mine that way. That really looks cool. But anyway, man, we've been on here a long time and the same little old 22 people are still hanging in there. I don't guess though, but I think my thing, I got to notice here, it says about my Facebook profile, it says comments won't show up here because by default they have streaming setting as friends only. So I'm sure most of the people that are on my friends list ain't gonna come watch this. So I'll need to figure out how to change that to get it to go public or something. I'm surprised it even was working at all. And I don't know if I can change it after the fact. If I can, maybe some people will watch the replay of it there. But anyway, all right. We don't have any more questions, I don't guess. So we will get out of here. Yeah, we'll go ahead and get ready to get out of here. Well, I appreciate everybody hanging around, listening to us talk about this stuff. Like I said, tomorrow will be disassembly day.
That's another video.
I was so excited about that dust shoe. And then sure enough, it misses by that much.
That's another video for you.
Yeah.
Just a little bit outside.
Right.
I put that one out today, and I've got enough stuff that I'll keep putting them out whenever I do something interesting to it. But yeah, I won't be making no dust anytime soon until I get that dust shoe mounted on there. All right, well, let's get ready to get out of here. Thanks everybody for watching. Ryan, well, you're not doing a show this Saturday, right?
No, this Saturday we will not be doing a show. We'll be back next week.
And next week is the big 100, right?
100, yes. That's why we're not doing one this weekend, is because I couldn't do it, and Paul thought I should be there for the 100th one.
Well, yeah, you kind of should.
But this will be our first show that we haven't done one in, been continual weekly for probably almost a year. I mean, it's been a long time since we missed.
Well, I don't know that you've ever missed, because I filled in for you twice.
Yeah, we've missed a couple weeks. Yeah, before I had the thought of, hey, I should ask Dave if he wants to step in.
Okay. Well, yeah, I told you anytime I'd be happy to do it, because you got to try to keep that watch time going when you're trying to hit that magic 4,000 hours.
Yeah. I don't think it's ever going to happen, but that's okay. More fun.
Yeah. Well, you got a couple of, not on that channel though. The other videos you put out was on the Ranger channel, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I put out another video, put out a project video on the Ranger CNC channel, and in the next portion of the build video. So there's more of that coming. Trying to do some more project videos, CNC projects on that channel too, and because that's where all my CNC content is going to be. Lasers and 3D printing will be on the R Ballard Designs channel going forward. Good times.
All righty. Mr. Paul, you got any final thoughts? Or
Nope, no final thoughts. Just
all right. Well, good luck on gluing your maze thing together. I hope it works out this time. I think it will, since it's plywood instead of the MDF. I think it'll work better. So
hopefully it will. It seems a little more flexible.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, now we're talking.
It would be so awesome if it snapped right now.
Oh, I know. Awesome. That'd tick me off, man.
Paul would have just thrown it and been done with it.
I had to come up with a different project.
Yeah. Then I would have been immediately scouring Marketplace for Paul putting his Onefinity up for sale.
Yeah, I'd be selling my laser, my 3D printer, my CNC, everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get out of here and everybody come back next week. I guess you probably know my next video will probably be about
Dust shoes.
disassembling the Z-axis because of a dust shoe I bought. So anyway, it is what it is.
There you go.
All right. Let's get out of here. Good night, everybody.
See you, peoples.
Night, everybody.